This week's episode of the STS Guys is brought to you by Frisky Britches. Ladies, let's face it. I know you're all guilty of your panty drawer filling up with worn out, old, and brace yourselves, stained underwear. But that's where Frisky Britches comes in. Each month delivery is a surprise, but always includes 2 fun and sexy panties for only $14. So if you're looking for a good set of panties, go on over to shopfriskybritches.com and enter the coupon code FBSTS to save yourself 15%. Frisky Britches, get underwear the right way.
Shut up and sit down.
Hi, welcome to this week's episode of the STS Guys. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Leo.
Hey, it's Larry.
And I'm Scott.
This week, episode 4 of the STS Guys, we have a busy agenda for you. We're talking about it. We have an update to the contest that we're running. We also have an update to this week's buys, a special destination we're visiting, and our new sponsor. Larry, do you want to talk about our update giveaway?
Yeah, sure. Last week we announced that we would be giving away a BB9E Box Lunch exclusive Funko Pop once we reach 100 subscribers. We're going to make a slight change to that. We realized that 100 is kind of a big number and we want to give it away a little bit sooner. So as soon as we hit 50 subscribers, to everyone who liked, subscribed, and commented on the YouTube link for episode number 3 is going to be entered in that drawing to win that exclusive pop. Once we reach 100, we're going to go ahead and give away another pop. I don't think we've decided quite which one yet, but we'll get that announced after we release the winner of the BB90.
So what you're saying is that we were just a little ambitious with the 100 subscriber giveaway.
Yeah, kind of, right?
Well, I wouldn't even necessarily say that. I would say now basically our first 50 are the luckiest first 50, just because now they basically have 2 entries. Our first 50, they literally have to do nothing in order to enter into the second round of the prize giveaway. So anybody who is currently entered in right now, once we cap it off at the 50, you are still in the running for the 100 subscribers. So you are, like I said, there's no changes there. Like I said, you will still be entered to win that giveaway.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so look for that. Hopefully we reach 50 this week before we get to record episode 5. I think we're at 44 right now. So tell your friends, get everybody to subscribe, and we'll give away that pop real soon.
So yesterday, Larry, Jeremy and Scott and I went to go see the remake It. And before we actually get into the movie, I do have to say I've never actually seen the original. Yeah, I know.
So wait, so you don't know the greatness that is Tim Curry?
I do not. But I will say, off the bat, loved it. In the conventional sense of the night is dark and full of terrors, I have to say, I was a little caught off guard with the fact that all the scary stuff happened in broad daylight to these kids.
Right. So one of the things I think we should do for this movie is, before we go further into it, is kind of give a non-spoiler, just kind of overall rating for it. Now, out of 5, Leo, what do you think?
Out of 5, I'd have to say 3.754. Not quite 5.
Okay. Jeremy.
That's the analyst in you.
Yeah, it really is.
Jeremy.
Honestly, I'm gonna go a straight 3, and I'll give my reasonings here in a little bit.
All right, I'm kind of right in between you guys. 3.5 out of 5 is me. So generally speaking, go see the movie if you like the genre of horror. If you like horror movies, it's a good horror movie, right?
Yeah, honestly, if you're looking at Stephen King, it's basically the whole universe that Stephen King has built. Like I said, this is a great reimagining of an entry into that universe.
All right. So from this point on, let's throw that spoiler tag on.
Spoilers
here.
alert!
Spoilers alert! Moving on from here, let's start going into that movie. So.
All right, who wants to kick it off?
So the first question, I do have one question.
No, we have one question here. Leo, we have to tell you, what was the scariest part of that movie?
The scariest part has to be you jumping up in your seat, grabbing my leg, and scaring the shit out of me.
I have never seen Leo jump into the fetal position as fast as I have when that occurred.
Now, I will say I am a jumper in scary movies, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, because that's why I love scary movies, is to get that adrenaline run and get that jump and do the whole scared girl thing. But I have to say that 45 or so the first 30 minutes of it, I'm looking over to YouTube because I know it's coming. I just know it's about to happen. But I got caught off guard about 45 minutes, an hour into it. I thought I was safe. And sure enough, freaking Scott just jumps up, grabs my leg, scares the shit out of me.
So the movie itself, not so bad.
The movie itself, no, not so bad. I mean, I did do the looking off into the top right corner in a couple scenes because, you know, I knew something was coming. But the
Georgie, don't die.
what I love about this movie, though, is even though you thought something was coming and you're looking off, trying not to get scared, it doesn't happen. And then you're looking, and then it catches you off guard.
Yeah.
So, since I gave it the lowest rating, I'm going to give a specific reason why.
First up, on deck.
And here's the thing. I think once I say this thing, and I didn't say this before the podcast for a specific reason because I want to get your guys' genuine reactions. The reason why I gave it a 3 is specifically because Bill Skarsgård does such a great job of basically the voice of it, the mannerisms of it, and this, that, and the other. I think they overuse the digital, and they don't have enough of Bill Skarsgård talking basically in that character to basically throughout the entire movie. I think they underutilize basically him as an actor, as it.
I would completely agree. I think I wanted to see more of it, and I think they could have dialed up the horror part, which is why I dropped that rating down. I wanted more scares, more, you know, those jump scares were well timed. Like normally I fucking hate jump scares in movies. Like they are the worst things on the planet because it's just if you can't be scary any other way, you do a jump scare. Like it's the shitty
It's
horror
not the
movie thing.
It's not the suspense. It's the gotcha.
Right, gotcha. Oh, I scared you because I made a loud noise. Like,
Yeah.
because it's a fucking theater. A loud noise is gonna scare the shit out of me.
Well, and here's the thing. So like I said, the one scene in this entire movie that I was super excited to see. Like I said, was something that basically was left to the imagination in the 1990s imagining of this movie. Was the whole scene with Georgie. And so basically him chasing the boat, they basically take that almost scene for scene. And the difference between the 90s and, like I said, and this version was you actually see what happens to Georgie. So in the 90s version, you think like, hey, you know what? You know, Tim Curry is reaching up and pulling his arm in, so he's actually pulling his arm off. In this version, you actually see Bill Skarsgård, bite his arm and basically bites his arm off. Right. And it actually shows the entire sequence of it. So it was a great opening to that movie.
In the original, Georgie is missing his arm. You see that?
No, you don't see that at all.
You see him reach for it.
Imagination.
Yeah.
Do you see Georgie at all?
You see Georgie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so basically, from that point, the scene where he's like, "Do you want your boat?" Reach in and grab it, and he kind of reaches in and you see the motion of what happened in this film occur, but it just fades to black. It's a TV movie. They're not going to show like an 8-year-old getting their shit torn off.
Right.
All right. So moving forward, they don't have a lot of that in the old version. A lot of the violence is toned down or it cuts to black. So now, Jeremy, one thing that I actually found out that's actually I thought was CG but was not in the movie is apparently when you look at it and you see like his eyes are like in two different directions. I always thought throughout the whole movie I thought that was CG. I actually found out today watching an interview with Bill Skarsgård, he can actually just do that, like look in two different directions at one time.
That's creepy as fuck.
That is kind of creepy.
It's fucking creepy.
He's got the whole horse thing going.
Right, but he's got the whole just like he's a chameleon. Like he looks in like two different directions.
That's
but
just nasty.
Apparently that was just him on set, like with the contacts. Just I'll look one eye this way and one the other way. Like,
well, that had to creep out the actual kids on set I watched an interview with him on I think it was Conan, where he was actually talking about Conan was asking about the interviews with basically the interactions with the kids.
I think that was Jimmy. I saw that.
Jimmy Fallon was asking about like, hey, did you scare the shit out of the kids like on the set? And actually, the kids basically responded. The kids loved it. Like so the kids loved him getting in the character.
Yeah.
Now, I think that one of the things that I found interesting about it too was that the director did a lot of the scenes without him first, and then kind of didn't let the kids see him in costume until they started actually filming the scenes when they were together.
Well, I think
which
that's
added to it. Like,
adds
yeah.
the genuine reaction
Right,
of,
those
of
kids-
what's actually happening.
Yeah.
They said, action, and then this dude shows up in this fucking clown costume. Like, that's gotta be terrifying for a child.
Absolutely.
So how would you guys say it would compare to the original, right? The original was made for TV, 90s?
1990.
1990, yeah. So a
Yeah.
really long time ago, right? I know Scott was talking about CG and stuff. It's got to be better effects. It can be a little scarier. How do you think it compared?
All right, so the biggest thing to answer your question is kind of the differences between Pennywise himself. Because, 1990 was the ultimate badass of actors was Tim Curry. Like,
Tim Curry
Kills
killed
it,
it.
kills it.
He killed it in the 90s.
he kills it in the 90s version. Like, Tim Curry kills it in anything that he does. Saying that, though, I have to go and say, I think I like this Pennywise a little bit better.
Well, here's the thing. I like this Pennywise better, but so the only gripe with the movie, kind of like I said before, was the digital aspect. I think if they would have cut down that and gave him more of a chance, I think honestly it would have solidified him. Like, hey, you know what? That's my It movie.
Right.
Because here's the thing. So I can't say that I like one better than the other. I like them both for very, very different reasons. If I could get basically more Bill Skarsgård in that movie, it would have bumped it at least up to a 4.5 for me.
Right. So the major difference, too, that I found is rewatching the old 1990s version, the way Tim Curry voices that character is kind of like you would estimate, like, the old hobo that lives in the train. Like, he has that very deep, gruff voice, right? When Georgie first asks him, or, says, like, oh, I don't talk to strangers, Tim Curry's response is basically, he's like, oh, mighty fine, thing that your dad is teaching you there, Georgie. Versus this Pennywise has the more childish version.
It's more of a clown
It's
type
more of a
voice, yeah.
clown
Scott, I don't
voice.
remember if I ever heard the talk like a pirate.
Yeah, that's
version
what
of
I was,
Pennywise.
that's where I was going.
I don't claim to be
lives
a
in a
voice-
pineapple
He
under the
lives-
sewer.
Yeah.
Pennywise, the dancing clown.
Yeah. Like, I like the voice, and it's more like what you'd see back in the day, right? That was kind of the clown, This one is more childish, I think, and fits more with the kids.
Honestly, I think the thing that I liked was the one thing that I wish Bill Skarsgård would have done that Tim Curry did was he did so many like sexually referenced jokes that made basically you scared the shit out of it, but then he also made you laugh at him as a clown because he was doing all these sexually charged jokes.
Because Tim Curry was more of a clown, like, at that point. Like, he was actually doing a lot of the stuff that a normal clown would do, plus mimicking a blowjob at one scene. But still, like, I'm pretty sure clowns do that a lot too.
So you both read the book, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Was there anything in the books that maybe they left out in the movie versions?
Two things.
Can I
You do yours, and there's another one that I want to talk
I'm gonna do
about.
mine. I'm gonna
Yeah,
do mine
do
because
yours.
this is the one thing. Because like I said in the book, like, so they really descript Georgie's whole thing, and so they show that in the new one. One thing that I'm not shocked that they left it out, but it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, like I can see why they left it out. In the book, the Losers Club, in order basically to gain the power of them basically being united as a united front, they had this discussion about virginity. So they all basically have a child sex orgy, and they all bang Bev.
Oh.
In order to basically to not be a virgin anymore, so that way they actually have the power to face Pennywise in the sewer.
Yeah, quite the imagination Stephen King has.
Yeah. Well, every kid is like, you know what? Let's solve the problem. Let's bang chicks. Like, that's every fucking 12-year-old's goal in life is to bang a girl. So I'm guessing, yeah, of course they brought it into this book. They kind of hinted towards it in this one, in the remake. In that one of the kid,
at the quarry?
At the quarry, when the kid says, he's like, not even at the quarry, when the kid from Stranger Things, I can't remember his name, I think it's Finn is the actor's name, literally says, oh, is it because I'm a virgin? Is that why I can't, or I'm not a virgin? Is that why I can't see anything?
Okay, I until you just mentioned that, I didn't even realize that, but yeah, I can see where you're at.
I wonder if that's how they kind of, their way of bringing it in, because yeah, I mean, no movie's going to let a bunch of like 10 to 15-year-old kids have a gangbang scene in like a movie. Like, any movie I have, that's automatic NC-17. Like,
I don't see any transition into that. Then I think the biggest scene. I think here's the thing that was hard versus this iteration versus the miniseries. The miniseries basically it almost follows the book, where you have it starts off with them as adults. It flashes back as kids. It goes to adults. It flashes back as kids. Versus this has their entire adventure as children. So basically, when the end credits rolled, it basically said it popped up the movie title again. It Chapter 1.
Right.
And so the sequel is going to be the kids grown up and then them facing Pennywise again.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty big difference.
There is one other thing that happens in the books that both movies, actually, the 90 series and this current one, skip over, which is actually a pretty prominent aspect of the book, which they may end up going and doing in the next chapter of this new one, is at some point the kids decide the only way for them to figure out where Pennywise comes from or where it comes from is they do a shit ton of drugs and have like this like weird like fever dream, and it actually shows them like where Pennywise is. So they go on like this spiritual journey to find like, and it actually tells them like how it came to be and like where it comes from, which is all well and good. But again, it's one of those things like, can they really show on film a bunch of like freshmen in high school doing a shit ton of like mind altering drugs?
I could see them maybe starting off the sequel with that, right? Kind of do a quick recap, kind of origin story, and then get into the real story.
And I think that maybe they can kick out the drugs and show that, or when they come back as adults, maybe as they come through, and that's one of the starts is, oh, let's figure out where this thing came from because it's still around.
Yeah. So I think one of the other differences too is, like I said, one really big difference that I saw was the underusage of basically the actor who played Mike Hanlon. So Mike Hanlon in the original series, he's the librarian. He's basically the one who stays back in Derry and basically reunites the group together. Mike Hanlon in this one, he was the son of the farmer who was bringing the meats to like so the different butchers around town. So you saw very
They
few
died though, right? Then his parents died in the fire.
The kid that's
Yeah, he's
died
with
in the
like
fire.
his uncle
grandpa.
or something.
Yeah. That kid.
Okay.
Yeah, that kid.
The
So
one that fucking throws the bully down the well and like
Yeah.
kills him in a
Yeah.
glorious fashion in
Yeah.
this new version.
which is also another difference between this version versus the 90s version.
Right.
The 90s version actually has what the hell is his name? I forgot what the bully's name is. But in the 90s version,
Henry.
Is it Henry?
Henry Bowers.
Henry Bowers.
Yeah.
So when Henry Bowers in the 90s version, he's basically pins all the child murders on himself. Was basically convinces him to basically take blame for all these child murders. So he's basically institutionalized. And then what ends up happening is, fast forward to when the kids are adults, Pennywise shows back up to Henry Bowers and says, "Hey, you know what? You need to escape out of here. You need to go murder those kids. You need to finish the job. You need to go out and murder them."
So basically, what they sort of did in the movie, because he kind of like, I don't want to say possessed him, but when in that scene when he kills his dad, he convinces him to go kill the kids.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, all those kids that you basically have threatened to kill, why don't you go kill them?
Yeah.
Well, I think at some point, like Pennywise was probably just knowing that his time was up, because these kids were starting to get the idea.
Well, by the point that Henry Bowers kills his dad in the movie is the kids really don't fear Pennywise anymore, and Pennywise needs them to fear him. So that's the thing that I think made it very real, is that bullying. Like, that kid did a great job of being a psychopath. The kid in this new version that plays Henry, fucking props to him, because that is the best version of a psychopath I've ever seen in my entire life.
You see that transition as soon as his dad takes that gun from him, because they're playing with a gun in like the backyard, and his dad's a cop or the chief of police, and he comes and he's like, "What the hell's going on?" He grabs the gun from him, tries and starts to walk away, but turns around and fires the gun at his kid, like at his feet. Scares the shit out of him, and then makes
him piss his pants.
Yeah,
like,
in front of two other bullies that are like following him. So now he's emasculated in front of his crew. So you sort of see that transition between, I'm this badass, to, well, I'm not shit.
Yeah.
And so then he sees the balloon, he finds the knife, he kills his dad. the rest is history.
And I think here's the thing: in terms of the actual bullies between the '90s version and this version, I absolutely love this version of Henry Bowers so much better.
Henry and his crew are amazing in this.
Well,
one.
because like I said, with the poor. Can you imagine? Like I said, you being bullied and some kid fucking carves up your fucking stomach.
Right.
So did they do that in the original one?
They did not do that.
Okay, because I was gonna say that would have been totally
they threatened
faux
him in-
pas
they
for the
threatened him in
90s,
original,
right?
but-
Too much.
The other thing too that you got to think is they had to make a big jump from even the books in that one, because back in the day, like Stephen King when he wrote this was in the 80s, and like the kids were in the 50s growing up.
Yeah, I read that on IMDb. I was looking up the original, and I think
Yeah.
it takes place in like the 50s or 60s, and then they fast forward
To the 80s.
to yeah.
80s.
Right, so I mean, take mid 80s minus 27 years, right? That's the big thing. So you're going back into like the late 50s, early 60s. So trying to relate that book directly into things like bullies back then were way different than in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like there's no difference.
Yeah.
So
There's no way you're inviting my girl to the sock hop.
Yeah, you're not going there. How dare you take her for an ice cream milkshake? Like no, like in this one it's the kid's like, I'm gonna run your ass over with my fucking Trans Am and then carve my name in your stomach. Like, good on them for making that kid like a fucking tormentor. Like,
But also, too, the fact that it took place in the 80s and they gave him a mullet was fantastic.
it was
Yeah.
great.
Awesome.
1989 kid has the greatest mullet I've ever seen in my entire life. It was phenomenal.
I do have to say I liked how they sort of stood up each of the kids' fears
Individually.
throughout the movie individually. Yeah, but I think what really sort of terrified me about the movie in general was, conventionally speaking, scary movies, that always happens in the dark or in cramped quarters, or in that spooky house.
Right.
But like you have the hypochondriac kid who's just picking up his medicine that fell on the ground, and there his fear right there in front of him, in the middle of the fucking street, in the middle
Or
of the broad daylight. Like,
it's Ben,
come on.
right? The fat kid?
Ben's the fat
Ben
kid,
the
yeah.
fat kid.
Ben's
So
the fat
when
kid.
he's just happens to be in the library, and then all of a sudden, like,
Yeah.
shit happens in the library to bring him, and that fucking movie, that headless
Oh,
thing.
so I'm glad
was
you brought that
actually
up.
Scary. Like,
So I went home and pulled up the Fitbit app because it's got the HR sensor and it runs
Yeah.
all day. And I was watching, and you actually see the peaks and valleys throughout the movie. It was hilarious.
Leo the analyst.
so
Well, no, because during that specific scene, and they did it throughout the whole movie when Pennywise is like chasing towards the kids or running towards them, like they sort of like build this creepy ass suspense or
They were
motion.
very good about building
terrified the
suspense
hell
in
out
that
of me
movie.
because I'm telling you, I like felt all the whoosh, and now that doesn't mean like that you're scared inside. You scared the shit out of me. Okay.
Now, Larry, did you in terms of scary movies? I know you didn't see this specific scary movie. Like I said, in terms of scary movies, I said, do you like the scare, like jump out scares, or like I said, do you find it more scary, like I said, with the upping in the gore, or what's your fix in scary movies?
Cool. I'm glad you asked that because I was actually going to lead us there too. I'm not the biggest horror guy. That's why I chose not to go with you guys. So scary movies. Pretty much, right? So then, like, as I was driving over here, I was trying to think of like what my favorite scary movie was, right? So I'm gonna put you guys kind of on the spot and ask you too. But I think that the one that stands out to me was Leprechaun 5, Leprechaun in the Hood.
Oh god,
Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yes. You can't beat the Vegas one, man. Leprechaun 3.
I
of
don't
the
think I've seen
series.
that one.
Oh, it's the best one.
I'm gonna have to go check that
Go
out.
check out 3.
Right, I just have fond memories of watching that with my friends, like at my friend's grandma's house, probably like 16 or 17 for whatever reason. I think I tend to like the goofy horror more than anything, right? And the scary or extremely gory.
The Leprechaun movies definitely fill that. From the first one with Jennifer Aniston all the way up to, I think they have Leprechaun in the Hood 2
Yeah.
at this point.
Well, here I'm gonna pause for a second because I see Leo's like, wait, Jennifer Aniston's in the first Leprechaun? I gotta go watch this.
No. First of all, it's Rachel in
It's
the first
Rachel.
Leprechaun. I don't know who this Jennifer Aniston is.
Yeah, Rachel is in the first Leprechaun, Leo. Look it up.
Very well.
So it's like I know what Leo's on Leo's watch list.
So,
Bank is full.
what would you say is your favorite horror movie, Leo?
I'd have to say mine is a cross between Poltergeist or even Saw. I loved the first
Yeah,
Saw movie.
Saw was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge gore doesn't bother me, and I don't look for it either. But I think the way they did the first Saw was perfect in what they were trying to portray. The rest of them were just garbage.
Yeah.
The first Saw was good because you didn't know what the fuck was going on.
And then Homeboy gets up off the floor. But let's be honest,
it
how
was
many
good.
times can this guy beat brain cancer and keep coming back?
right.
When-
I'm not dead. I just was faking it.
When I saw that, I had no idea what it was, right?
Right.
At all. I had a previous job where I worked the graveyard shift, and we may have just watched movies instead of actually doing our job. So somebody else brought that in, and they're like, hey, let's watch Saw. No clue what it was. Great movie, right? No expectation, nothing. And like you said, the ending was just spectacular.
Yeah.
I feel like the Saw franchise kind of got watered down because there's been, a dozen sequels or whatever.
And I think another one's coming out this year.
Jigsaw.
Okay.
It's not the same.
It's not. Well, like I said, here's the.
It's not the same.
It's not
It's
the
the
same.
same.
It's an origin story.
First off, you have ruined it. After like 3 movies, your shit's fucking garbage at that point.
Well, then they went 3D like 4
it's all
or 5
3D.
in.
And then they had, like, when they do
We're done.
the final destination, the final chapter. Oh, but wait, we had one more. Like, fuck off. Like,
Well,
seriously.
and none of the originals are in the final chapter. So, I mean, you can't. What chapter of what
Yeah.
book are you using?
Yeah, what is it?
The never-ending story.
No, it's a fucking, it's encyclopedia. End of the final
Falcor.
chapter. It's an encyclopedia. It's end of, the last chapter of volume 1.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Okay, so my turn for scary movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, I have 2. I have one movie that can actually happen, and two that just scared the living piss out of me. One that can actually happen, and the reason why and that's why I find it scary, is Last House on the Left, the original one.
I have
Not
not,
the remake.
seen those.
Not the remake.
Me neither.
The remake was still really, really good.
Yeah.
But I said the original Last House on the Left. So just so I can give you some premise, Leo. Spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen a movie from 1974.
Right.
Like this
1970s
guy.
movie, let's see. We'll add that one in there.
Basically, the story goes is there's this girl, and she ends up getting like raped and beaten by these group of guys. And what ends up happening is she makes it her way home. She is able to tell her parents, and then I think she ends up dying.
In that version, she dies. I
in
think in
that-
the remake, she lives.
Yeah, I think in the remake she lives. In that version, she dies. But
Correct
then,
us if we're wrong. Leave it in the comments.
Yeah, leave it in the
but
comments. Like I said, I haven't seen it forever.
It's been a while.
But what ends up happening is that their car breaks down outside the parents' house, and these three guys go into the house saying, "Hey, can we use your phone? Our car broke down." They realize that those are the same group of guys that basically did all this to their daughter. So they go all fucking banana sandwich on these guys.
yeah.
Banana sandwich.
Yeah.
Banana sandwich.
Where
No, they go ape shit
Yeah,
on these
they go
people.
they go torturing them beyond belief. So the wife and I'm going to describe one of the scenes. Like I said, it's completely freaky.
This is weird because this is not the first time Jeremy has described this scene. Let's
Yes.
just put it this way.
I've
This
described
is
the
this is his favorite.
Yeah. So the mom is down by the lake, and with one of the guys, she's like, "Hey, you know what? I'm so glad you came by because I want to leave my husband, this, that, and the other." She's like, "Hey, do you want a blowjob?" And then they're like, "Oh yeah, that'd be great." So she's going downtown on this guy, and then what do you think happens? She bites it off, and spits it out.
Jeez.
It's like I said, scary movie because it's gonna happen. Another one I won't go into as much detail. The Exorcist, complete classic, but like I said, it's still
that is a good
completely
classic.
scary. Scott, what about you?
So that's a fucking loaded question for someone like me that loves horror movies.
Yeah, your answer should just be yes.
Yes, I love anything horror movie. My problem is I like good horror movies, and there's not that many of them. It actually comes down to another Stephen King. I think one of my favorite horror movies is The Shining.
Shining
Yeah.
is good.
That's a good
The
choice.
Shining
is
scared
a
the shit out of
great
me.
movie because it's so strange.
Jack Nicholson,
Jack Nicholson fucking kills that shit.
Sells that character.
Just the here's Johnny scene where he breaks down the door, and like the fact that Stanley Kubrick tortured was it Mary Shelley is the actress's name, when he fucking tortured her on set so much that she was like on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Then he filmed her scenes like.
Funny thing is, I just rewatched that the other day, and I forgot how good the music is.
Yeah, the music like,
in The Shining as well.
Everything was great. So basically, when he's coming up the stairs and Jack Nicholson's like, "I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your fucking head in." Like that scene, I think they did that like over 100 times. So Mary Shelley was just like, Jack Nicholson is of course crazy, so he's fine doing it the same thing. At first, Mary Shelley was like, "Oh, I'm scared," and then by the last time, she was like terrified because it's been like
Well, because
4
he does
days of
such a
filming.
great job of
It
it.
is
too.
a great job. So Shining is probably one of my favorite horror movies. I'm kind of looking at this list of some of the all-time ones. I mean, Psycho's always great.
Psycho's always a great one, yeah.
One of them, I think it's actually still on Netflix right now, is Babadook. Babadook.
Babadook was good.
Great horror movie, and it actually ends up having kind of a weird ending for horror movies. It actually ends up well for people.
No.
Like, surprisingly not bad, as most horror movies end up having like this bad ending. Nothing beats, though, a good B horror movie. Like we had talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, but there's this company, Troma, that comes out. So we're kind of
Troma Films, yes.
James Gunn came from there doing a lot of the writing. They're the kings of B horror movies, and they find people that have no experience doing movies but are good at like prosthetics, and so they have them come in. And one of their movies I always love is Terra Firma. First off, because it has a dickless Ron Jeremy as one of the characters in there, where he's like wearing somebody else's face, but they've like made it look like he has no penis, and he's running around like without, just naked Ron Jeremy running around with no dick, like hilarious. And somebody gets eaten by an escalator, and there's a scene where an old lady just randomly finds this pregnant chick on the side of the street. She's like, "Oh, cute baby." And then he's like, "What?" And she reaches in and pulls this like fetus out this lady. Like, it's the worst fucking movie on the planet, but it's so fun to watch. Like, so anything Troma,
I haven't seen that forever, and I'm like, I have to go back and watch it.
Watch anything by Troma. I mean, they're the guys that did the Toxic Avenger, like the worst movies you can imagine. Like, you think like they're like, oh, these are bad, but it's like they're bad on purpose. Troma, phenomenal for horror movies.
Wow. Sorry, guys. Like, we went down a crazy rabbit hole because we look kind of excited about horror movies. But overall, like I said, it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. So what I would recommend doing is, if you haven't seen it in a little while, maybe watch the 90s version before you go into the movie. Just so that way you can basically see the differences for yourself, but also appreciate them both for what they are.
Right. Well, and the thing I'll add with this one is, was it the best movie ever? No. For a horror movie, it's probably one of the best horror movies, like best quality horror movies and best written horror movies I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely recommend it.
Agreed.
The only reason I dock down that things is little tiny, pissy little things that we have. Like, there's nothing in it that actually makes it a bad movie. It's just, I would have liked to see X, Y, and Z. It's nothing about the movie that I actually have fault with.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Okay, so let's kind of like transition a little bit. Like I said, definitely go see it. Like I said, let us know your thoughts too. Leave them in the comments. Let us know what you thought of the movie, because we'd like to get your guys' take on it as well. This week we have some interesting buys, some interesting things that came in this week, and I have kind of a first time occurrence for me.
Oh yeah.
I've never had it happen before. So.
Uh-oh.
This literally left Jeremy speechless when we showed up at the bar before the movie. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's a story that happened on the way to the movie, where I think I was kind of pissing off Scott because he's like, "Where the fuck is Jeremy?"
Right.
at?"
I'm sitting here. I've already had a beer. I'm at the bar. I'm like, you left before me. Like, how the fuck did I get here first?
So what'd you get?
All right, so first and foremost, I'm always on the lookout for Funko Pops and different things like that. And so I don't know, something in me told me, hey, I should stop, just at the GameStop on the way to the movies. So I left. I said I literally left the same time Scott did, maybe even a little bit before.
You left like a good 3 or 4 minutes because I still had work to do.
Yeah. So I said I left. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna stop into this GameStop. It's right next to this Asian diner that we all go to typically. And then so I stopped in there, and I'm like looking at the pops, and I'm like, holy crap! I'm like, there's actually a chase. I have never found a chase in the wild before. Like I said, I've bought them online. I've always bought them not for retail price. I've always found them other places, but I've never found one in person.
So, just because I had no idea what they were, I think it might be a good idea. I see Leo
My
nodding his
question,
head.
yep.
Yeah. Just explain, what is a chase when you're looking at pops?
Larry.
A resident expert.
So the easy answer, right? It's just kind of a variant. It's like a wild card. Right now, the majority of the chases that Funko's putting out for Pops and Dorbs are 1 in 6, right? So you get a case of 6, 5 of them are going to be all the same, but then the 1 is the chase variant, where maybe it's a repaint, or it's got like hold an extra pop. Like, it's a subtle difference than the other 5, but it's highly desirable. 9 times out of 10, it's something pretty cool where it gets people fired up and everybody wants to go out and get it. I have found one pop chase in the wild myself. It was actually the alien from Independence Day at a different GameStop. I've gotten a couple Dorbs off Amazon, right, by luck, one from Hot Topic. But yeah, to find an actual pop chase, there's just so many Funko collectors in this town that it's pretty hard to find them. Or like, even if they get to a collector's hand, right, it's kind of unlikely because the store is probably going to just buy them up. The GameStop where I actually got that stupid alien chase, the guy who sold it to me turned to his friend and was like, hey dude, I told you should have bought this. And apparently the guy was going to buy it after work and they didn't hide it. It was right there on the shelf. So it's just a timing thing. You got to be lucky. You got to be there. I know Jeremy and I both have been to, every GameStop and Toys R Us and Walmart, from the east side of town to the west side of town. And it's a pretty rare occurrence.
So Chase it's not, because I saw the sticker and I know you've got Walmart, Walgreens stickers on there. So Chase is deliberately put out by Funko.
Yep.
It's a sticker that they affix to it, and it's their own design that sort of varies. So I guess I don't want to say the word defect, but in my nerdy world of coin collecting, it's like your double-sided coin. It's your, but this isn't really a defect, but it's still sort of the same kind of novelty.
So it's kind of their collector bait, basically.
Oh yeah,
go out and buy, go out and search
absolutely.
these stores, kind of thing. Like, well, we're gonna throw one out that's just there.
Oh, yeah. It's to get you out and shopping, and then when you get to the GameStop or whatever, and you're disappointed you didn't find a chase, maybe you'll be like, oh hey, this Mint Berry Crunch Pop's kind of cool. I'm gonna buy that instead.
Yeah.
Right? It's just to get you out there and looking, so you spend more money.
And Jeremy, this is your first time finding a chase in the wild?
And here's the thing. So I'm like, I was thinking about, this is my first time where I had this specific situation happen.
Wait, so what is it?
All right, so I found the Chase Porg. Which I'm kind of surprised because, like I said, with Force Friday being the week before,
Dude, Porgapalooza, man. Everybody was Porg nuts, right?
Everyone loves the porgs.
And nobody knows what this Porg is, right?
I think
The movie hasn't come out yet.
The movie hasn't come out.
No, I know, but it's not in the
Nah,
trailer.
there's a couple
No.
still photos that they released.
And that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah. So I go into this game to find the Chase Porg. I'm like, score. I'm like, I was so excited. I'm like, hey, you know what? I found this. And I'm like, I said, this is midday too. This is, like I said, GameStop's been open like 3 or 4 hours by this point in time. By the time I get there,
been out for like a week.
It's been out for a week. I said
Yeah.
we had Force Friday the week before work. Everyone was deliberately looking for these things.
I'm surprised they even got a restock that fast, right?
Absolutely.
If that was even not left over from
Yeah.
what they had.
So I said, I'm like, at one point in time, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna grab the thing off the shelf. I'm like, wait, I gotta document this. So I snap a picture. So I take a picture of it. I'm like, hoping like no one grabs it like in front of me. I'm like, hey, you know what? I found it first. Finders keepers. It's mine. So I take my picture, grab it up. I look behind the box. There's an identical chase right behind it.
What?
Yeah. So there's 2 chases. So one right behind the other. I'm like, okay. This never happens.
No, that's awesome. That's rarer than a double rainbow.
Oh my god.
It is rarer than actually. I think it is probably by chance rarer than a double rainbow.
All right. So I said, of course, I had to get both. Not for the fact that, hey, I'm gonna go like scalp them and like screw someone else out there for like, oh yeah, here, here's $50. When I just bought it for like $10.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if these retail at the same price as
The
the
retail,
normal pop.
There's no difference in prices.
It's just really you gotta find these
You gotta find
limited
them.
edition ones.
Yeah.
So like I said, that's what I wanted to do was I wanted to see, like I said, if anybody needed it, and I said Larry in our group, said he needed the pork chase, and so I ended up actually giving that pork to him.
Sweet. Thank
Score.
you. Super happy to have a Porg chase. Little Porgy with his mouth open. It's pretty nice.
That's what she said.
Hey.
Hey. So that was probably the most exciting moment of the week.
You got some other Star Wars stuff though too, right?
I did. Like I said, all my stuff that I ordered on Force Friday finally started kind of trickling in.
Awesome.
So I had the Commander Cody pops that came in from Walgreens because those hit Walgreens. We posted that to our Instagram, just kind of letting everyone know that those were out on Walgreens. I don't know if they still are, but got those in person. I said, Larry, check those out with me today. I said, they're actually pretty cool looking.
Yeah, they're pretty nice, right? Like it's Commander Cody, holding little holographic blue kind of
Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah,
So, yes,
Emperor, right?
Yeah, so he's holding
So
basically
like-
holographic
Yeah.
Palpatine.
When he orders Order 66.
Order 66, yeah.
Yeah,
So basically,
exactly,
when that occurs, that's kind of what this captures.
Right.
So we got that. I ended up getting 2 of those. I didn't ask Larry if he needed that one. I don't know if he needs that one or not.
I'm probably good, but thank you.
So that might be up for grabs. So the second one might be up for grabs for the 100 subscriber contest.
I think that sounds like a great idea.
So we got that one. Maybe we'll give you guys a choice. I got another package in earlier this week. We also got the flocked Chewbacca holding the Porg from FYE.
That one's pretty awesome.
That one, like I said, I'm really surprised at like I said, normally I said the flocking, it's hit or miss. The flocking on this one actually looks really, really good. Both boxes came in super awesome shape. So like I said, I ordered 2 just like to see if if both boxes would come in good shape. Because like I said, if I was going to keep the better of the 2, they actually ended up both coming out really, really good. So we might do one of those for the giveaway too. Like I said, we don't know. So kind of stay tuned.
We'll see as we get closer to 100.
As we get closer to 100, like I said, we'll put it out there for a choice.
Well, I think the important takeaway is, dude, if you're listening, there's going to be a lot of giveaways. So stay close to our Instagram, and we'll post stuff up on YouTube and listen to the podcast. You'll be the first ones to hear it.
We got tons of shit to give away.
Right, we might do some raffle copter stuff where you get a point or an entry for following us on Twitter or whatever. But then we were talking about doing like special codes for podcast listeners. So just keep an eye. Everywhere we are, you'll get more chances to get some free stuff.
Yeah, like I said, we all got excited with this very first giveaway.
Yeah,
and it's something that we want to make sure that we continue to do. One, just to say thank you to the community out there, and thank you to our listeners, thank you to our YouTube subscribers, thank you to our Instagram subscribers, thank you to our Twitter subscribers, thank you to our Facebook subscribers. Like I said, we just want to say thank you to out there. Like I said, we can't give something to everybody, but at least we can give you the opportunity to basically give you something cool.
Right. Yep. Thanks everybody. Thank you, Drew. Getting brownie points.
Getting brownie points.
Get the shout out.
So pop-wise, right? Let's talk about that a little more. Oh, hold up. Larry got something too. So Jeremy talked about what he got. I actually got one thing. I did not purchase it. I'm semi-active on the Funko message board. I entered a giveaway, and I actually won.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, right?
So there's actual winners to those Funko giveaways that I see online all the time?
There are. So my prize was a Freddy Funko Dorbs from Funko HQ.
That's cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty rad, man. I love the Dorbs. I love the Freddy Dorbs. So it went to a good home. It's actually from the actual grand opening weekend. It's not a grand opening exclusive because I think they're restocking this one, but I know the dude who got it. He actually bought it on that weekend. Hooked me up with a nice brown paper shopping bag too, so I've got a pretty awesome Funko HQ shopping bag.
That's cool.
There you go.
So I'm happy. Two nice things for my Funko collection.
That's awesome. And some big announcements this week. I said probably our next wave of exclusives coming up are from New York Comic Con.
Man, yeah, I feel like San Diego just finished up, and we're already talking New York Comic Con, right? So
when is New York scheduled for?
First week in October.
Yeah, first week in October.
Oh, wow.
I think
as we look through the lineup, though, Larry, how excited are you for the New York Comic Con lineup?
I'm pretty excited. Actually, there's a few things that are okay, but there's one that kind of got my attention that they announced late last week. Kind of random, right? But it's a Land of the Lost pop from the Sleeve Stack. It's going to be shared with Toy Tokyo, so I don't know how that's going to go. Never had to deal with that mess before, but I will be owning a Sleeve Stack pop here real soon.
Everyone loves the Sleeve Stack. That's it. Like,
do they?
Yeah. What do you remember from Land of the Lost other than the Sleeve Stack?
Sleeve Stack, maybe that one little furry guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Land of the Lost, man. That brings me back.
Yeah.
Right. There's nothing other than the little lizard people that anyone ever remembers. Like that is the best thing they could have brought out as a pop.
So one thing that I'm super excited for, and it's something that I fell in love with the chrome variant blue from San Diego that Toy Tokyo had.
Did you get it?
I never got it. I couldn't spend $200 something on it. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But then I saw that they have a black chrome Batman coming out, which I actually made even kind of like slightly better.
I'm sure it's at least as good. Yeah.
It's just as good. And so that one's coming out.
There's a rumor that it's going to be shared too, right?
Yeah, it's a rumor it's going to be shared. I think it's going to be shared with Barnes & Noble, I think.
All right.
I think that's what the rumor is.
That sounds achievable.
So
maybe it's within reach.
So one thing, I know 2 people at this table actually have the New York Comic Con days off. We're actually going to be going out and actually shooting some videos, picking up some of those exclusives. So.
Right. So hopefully you can grab that Batman. I'll probably be looking for that one too. There's a lot of Star Wars stuff too that got announced. right, to follow up with Force Friday, they just hit you with a whole nother wave of Star Wars. Some Rogue One pops, which is kind of surprising, but they look pretty good.
Considering it's a year old.
Yeah, right. I feel like the Rogue One buzz is dead, but a couple pretty cool
Just
things
like
there.
most of the characters in Rogue One.
Oh, too soon.
So you mentioned we're going out on those days. Do they? So they release pops nationwide like the Force Friday kind of did.
Yeah, it's kind of like movie releases where there's an embargo until a certain day to release those.
And
things.
so these will these New York Comic-Con exclusives have the sticker on it like at GameStop that they're exclusives, or do you have to get those on site?
So what they'll do is they kind of do two different stickers. They do one, so first they'll do the actual New York Comic-Con sticker actually at New York Comic-Con.
Okay.
And then I think the ones this year, because I'm pretty sure they actually had New York Comic-Con on them.
They did,
but this year they're actually doing a fall convention exclusive. So basically,
okay.
there's same thing that you get at the convention. It just has the different sticker, the fall convention exclusive.
That you weren't in New York for.
Yeah, they weren't
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So right, they did the same thing with San Diego. They actually did the same thing with Emerald City Comic Con for Seattle
okay.
too. So it's become a three-headed monster of convention shared exclusives. This is probably number 2, right? This is the second biggest one.
And see, I like I said, while I love, like I said, the New York sticker, I'm not such a big sticker guy. I'm more like, if I actually had the exclusive, I could care less about the actual sticker. I just wanted it. Specifically, Chrome Batman, like I said, that will be mine. I will find it. I will hunt you.
I will find you.
I will find you.
And I will buy you.
And I will buy you.
So, actually, talking about Comic-Con, that leads us into some new news that we have here. That we were, I guess, invited here to come down to the Tucson, Arizona Comic-Con here at the beginning of November. So I think, Jeremy, you and I are going to be heading down there for that event.
This is the first convention that we're actually covering.
Yeah, so we'll actually have some official coverage of the Tucson Comic-Con. So not a huge one, but it's a good step forward.
It's good. Well, and here's the thing: there's some good guests that are coming. Like I said, in terms of the comic guests, like I said, you got Neil Adams coming. So like I said, iconic Batman, illustrator. It's just he's the best that there was at the time.
And looking at celebrity guests, speaking of Batman, Billy D. Williams, the original person set for Two-Face, I want a picture with him.
Yeah.
Like, if I can get that, I'll be happy. Fucking Lando?
Yeah,
Hell
Lando,
yeah.
yeah.
You get Lando.
Pretty rad.
You got Gates McFadden, who played Beverly Crusher on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Well, and we bring up horror movies a lot. A lot of the original cast, Barry Bostwick, Nell Campbell, and Patricia Quinn from the original Rocky Horror movie are all going to be there too. So
It's a pretty good lineup, right?
It's
For Tucson
for Tucson,
Comic-Con.
yeah.
for a smaller con like that,
Yeah.
they have some decent people showing up, some good comics, some good people from movies that aren't at traditional cons.
Yeah, and I feel like they just started announcing people too. Those Rocky Horror ones, they just dropped on Thursday or Friday of last week,
Right,
so
yeah,
there
so
might
this
be
is-
some more surprises.
This is some new stuff for us. So this will be the first con that we get to officially go to. I know, Jeremy, you and I have gone to quite a few. Larry's gone to San Diego quite a few times.
Yeah.
I've gone to one.
Leo went to
Yeah,
one.
Leo went to one.
I volunteered at
You-
one.
Leo worked one.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, here's the thing. So you got to meet two. Like I said, the two places that you were volunteering though were probably two of the coolest places. You got to volunteer at George Perez's booth, and you got to interact with George Perez, and then you
Kevin
got
Eastman.
Kevin Eastman, like I said, the
Yeah.
creator of the Ninja Turtles, and who actually gave you a signed print.
Yeah,
What?
which was funny. So he asks, what's your name? And I tell him Leo, not thinking anything of it. He's like, oh, I think I could spell that. I'm like, oh, I get it. I see what you did there.
You were in the Ninja Turtle that day.
That's awesome. So if you see Jeremy and Scott at Tucson Comic-Con, if you're going out to that one, be sure to say hi. We might have some stuff to give you.
Yeah, we'll have some stuff to give you, and let us know if you recognize us as the STS guys. There are some videos that show both Jeremy and I's face, so you should be able to tell who we are. And you'll probably know us because we'll be rigged up with as many fucking cameras as we possibly have to cover that event.
We'll basically be pseudo paparazzi, but for nerd shit.
Yeah, we'll be nerderazzi?
Nerderazzi.
Nerderazzi.
You heard it here first.
Trademark.
Nerderazzi.
Not nerd Nazi, nerderazzi. So we're really excited to actually go down there and go. I think we'll be down there for sure on Saturday that week, potentially depending on our times, other days, but for sure we'll both be down there on Saturday.
I think maybe we should get T-shirts made up.
Yeah, if I could afford a T-shirt, I would buy one, Leo, but that's not going to happen.
As we grow, like I said, we'll see if the audience wants some T-shirts too, and then we can go ahead and offer T-shirts to the audience too.
We'll have something for giveaway for people who are interested or want to go ahead and sign up.
We will have something to give away.
We'll have some giveaways for something, at least something to give out to people for Tucson Comic Con while we're down there. Something. We'll call it the Tucson Comic Con exclusive for right now.
Hey.
And maybe I said if we run into you in Tucson, I said maybe we might do an exclusive contest for Tucson.
Right.
Like I said it's still to be determined. Like I said that maybe we might do it. Like I said it's important to just kind of stay tuned to the podcast so that way we can figure out what's going on.
Pretty exciting, right? We're pretty excited to be able to head down to Tucson and cover that con. You know what else gets me excited? Women's underwear.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that which leads us into our kind of sponsor. So as you probably heard, this is the first time we actually had what we'll call a bumper at the beginning of our episode here. We've become official. We have a sponsor.
So last week became official because we actually have legitimate equipment. This week become even more official.
Super official?
We are super official.
Because we actually have a sponsor that's
yes.
actually sponsoring us.
Yes, we have somebody that actually cares to actually associate their name with ours.
Who are our friends?
Who are
our-
our friends? Oh, who are our
yes,
friends?
who are
I
these
thought you
new
were just
friends?
saying, I thought that was a question, not a statement. I thought you were saying, who are our friends?
Well, that too.
But yeah, so our friends or our sponsor here this week is Frisky Britches, which is on this show, what we do is a lot of unboxing, right? We have a bunch of nerd shit sent to us all the week. So this is basically more geared towards women, right? It's a monthly subscription box for sexy underwear.
All right.
Right? So they send you 2 pairs of underwear in various styles each month. So you get a box each month of something surprise underwear.
Pretty good price too.
Right.
$14 shipped.
Right.
Well, wait, before we say $14 ship, we can actually save our listeners money.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
So we do have a 15% off coupon that you can use for any order. It's FBSTS. If you put that in on the coupon box when you're ordering, it will save you 15%, which drops it down to what, about like just over $11?
It's just over $11. Yeah.
Seems like a really good deal to me.
It is.
So-
Very good deal for women's underwear. If you've ever gone shopping at anywhere like Victoria's Secret, you're not getting anything for about $7 a pair. Trust me on that. The wife drags me shopping everywhere.
So yeah, three of us at this table have wives. So
And we've all had to be dragged underwear shopping. It is a good price to have for at least 2 guaranteed pair every month.
They also let you do gift subscriptions too, right? So
Yes.
you can go on, purchase it for your wife or girlfriend, maybe even Leo's mom.
Just a tester.
whoa.
Easy.
I know I will.
So we told some of our friends at work. All the girls were excited. I'd say go check them out on Instagram at Frisky Britches. Their website is shopfriskybritches.com. Check it out. They're supposed to be sending us a surprise mystery box here pretty soon.
So you may see a video of us fat guys
yeah,
unboxing that.
So me and Scott are really excited to do that unboxing, just so that way we can share that with you. Just because across the entire YouTube realm, we haven't seen a single unboxing of this.
No one unboxes underwear apparently.
So we will be the exclusive unboxers of the Frisky Britches package that we have.
Right, we'll be the first and probably the last, considering it's 2 fat guys doing it.
So that's fun.
That's fun. It's a new venue for us to get into, to be honest. And again, with us having wives, it's a great thing for anyone with their wives, girlfriends, or Leo's mom.
It's a little silly, but it's a great product. Seriously, check it out. You'll love the styles. You'll love the girls. It's pretty awesome. While you're checking them out, you should probably check us out on everything too, right?
Yes.
We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
STSguys.com.
Yep. You can
iTunes
listen.
and Google Play now.
Exactly. We
Which
dropped.
has made us ultra official.
Yes.
Can we get any more official now at this point?
I don't believe so.
Don't forget about SoundCloud and the YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. So like I said, feel free to message us, throughout any medium. Like I said, we all constantly monitor that, and pretty much if you message us, you'll typically get a reply.
At least within 24 hours.
Yeah, because we really, really want to hear from you. We appreciate our audience so much. Like I said, we want to continue to tailor this show and all of our videos.
Or pre-shoot?
Oh, don't get me started a fucking Meister from last week.
Would you say this is our inaugural sponsor?
This is our inaugural. This is our inaugural. So, like I said, we super appreciate all of you guys out there. Like I said, we want to make sure that we're interacting with the entire community, so that way we can bring you relevant content that you want.
Yeah, we got some good feedback on YouTube. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to Stacy for coming on for that Game of Thrones episode last week. She's always giving us some good feedback.
And keep going on to our episode 3 and posting your comments, because we still have a few more subscribers to go before we select that random comment off of there to get that BB9 pop.
And so we're capping that one at 50, and I said all the people who entered into the original 100 are still entered into the new 100 subscriber giveaway that we're going to be doing.
Awesome.
All right, and that looks like we are out of time for this week, guys. For this week's episode, I'm Jeremy.
I'm Leo.
Hey, I'm Larry.
And I'm Scott.
And we are the STS guys. Have a great night, guys.
Shut up and sit down.